As World War II came to an end, the Allies were left with a daunting task, rebuilding their nations and defeating their enemy. But amidst the rubble of war-torn Germany lay a secret that would change the course of history: Operation Paperclip, a clandestine operation to recruit Nazi scientists and bring them to America. The operation was born in secret, with the U.S. Joint Intelligence Objectives Agency, JIOA, leading the charge. They scoured Germany for experts in cutting-edge fields like rocketry, chemistry, and medicine. These scientists had worked on some of the most sinister projects imaginable, but now, they were being courted by their former enemies. Between 1945 and 1959, over 1,600 Nazi scientists made the journey to America. They were given new names, new homes, and new opportunities, but also a chance to leave their pasts behind. Dr. Wernher von Braun, one of the most notorious figures among them, would go on to play a crucial role in launching the U.S. space program. As the scientists settled into their new lives, questions began to arise about their pasts, and whether they had truly left their Nazi allegiances behind. With millions of Americans still reeling from the war, the recruitment of these men sparked outrage and debate. But for the U.S. government, the stakes were clear: with the Soviet Union rising in power, every advantage counted. Among the thousands of Nazi scientists captured by Allied forces at the end of World War II were some of the most brilliant minds in Germany. But as Operation Paperclip reveals, many of these men would go on to work for the United States government, bringing their expertise with them. The question is, how did this happen? Declassified documents show that Operation Paperclip was far more extensive than previously thought. Not only did the U.S. government recruit Nazi scientists, but they also worked to cover up their wartime activities. It's a story of espionage, propaganda, and deception. One of the most infamous figures to be recruited by Operation Paperclip was Wernher von Braun, who would go on to become one of the key architects of the U.S. space program. But as we delve deeper, it becomes clear that von Braun's past is shrouded in controversy. Historians are still debating the full extent of Operation Paperclip today. Some argue that it was a necessary evil, allowing the U.S. to gain a crucial advantage in the Cold War. Others see it as a shameful example of collaboration with Nazi ideology. As we uncover more evidence, one thing is clear: the truth behind Operation Paperclip is far more complex than anyone could have imagined. In 1946, U.S. military officials began reviewing dossiers on hundreds of German scientists, including those with Nazi affiliations. They were looking for expertise to help kickstart America's post-war technological advancements. But what about the moral implications of recruiting individuals linked to atrocities? Operation Paperclip's architects believed the benefits of collaborating with Nazi scientists outweighed the risks. They saw an opportunity to exploit cutting-edge research for American gain, without scrutinizing their past associations too closely. This calculation would prove to have devastating consequences. Despite initial protests from some U.S. officials and scientists, Operation Paperclip continued unabated. Many of these guests were given new identities and relocated to the United States, where they would contribute significantly to America's scientific and technological advancements. One of the most infamous recruits was Wernher von Braun, who would go on to become a leading figure in NASA's moon landing program. Yet his involvement with Nazi rocket development and alleged mistreatment of concentration camp laborers raised uncomfortable questions about America's complicity. In 1946, U.S. authorities interrogated over 1,600 Nazi scientists at Nuremberg Palace of Justice. Among them was Dr. Heinz Fischer, who had worked on V-2 rocket development. Despite his involvement with a regime responsible for atrocities, Fischer would later become a key asset in the American effort to harness German technology. In the aftermath of World War II, the U.S. government secretly brought over 1,600 German scientists to the United States under Operation Paperclip. Many would work on top-secret projects, including Project Saucy, which involved developing cutting-edge jet technology. This collaboration raised concerns about the moral implications of collaborating with former Nazi operatives. In 1947, Dr. Wernher von Braun and his team arrived in the United States to work on Project Hermes, an effort to develop a guided missile system. Von Braun's past involvement with the Nazi regime sparked controversy, but he became an invaluable asset in America's pursuit of space exploration. Despite the moral complexities surrounding Operation Paperclip, many German scientists like Dr. Wernher von Braun contributed significantly to American technological advancements. Their work on advanced propulsion systems and missiles paved the way for NASA's Apollo missions, forever changing humanity's relationship with space exploration. As we conclude our investigation into Operation Paperclip, it's clear that the U.S. government's decision to bring Nazi scientists to America had far-reaching consequences. From the V-2 rockets to the development of modern medicine, these scientists' contributions are undeniable. But at what cost? One of the most striking aspects of Operation Paperclip is the disconnect between the scientists' horrific pasts and their subsequent work for the U.S. government. Wernher von Braun, for example, was instrumental in developing the Saturn V rocket that took astronauts to the moon. Yet, he had also overseen the construction of the V-2 rockets that killed thousands during World War II. As we reflect on the legacy of Operation Paperclip, it's impossible to ignore the moral ambiguities that surrounded this program. Did the U.S. government genuinely believe they were redeeming these scientists, or was this a calculated move to further their own interests? The truth remains elusive, leaving us with more questions than answers. Operation Paperclip may have provided a glimpse into the darker corners of human nature, but it also serves as a poignant reminder that history is never truly linear. The lessons we learn from this chapter must be applied to our present, lest we repeat the mistakes of the past. As we close this investigation, one thing remains certain: the truth about Operation Paperclip will continue to haunt us, a haunting reminder of what happens when we compromise our values for power and progress.